The massive radio telescope at Arecibo IA hummed with activity as Dr. Elara Vance rushed through its corridors. Her heart raced, not from the exertion, but from the magnitude of what her team had just detected. After 50 years of silence, humanity's most ambitious deep space probe had finally phoned home. Status report. Elara barked as she burst into the control room. Screens flickered with incoming data streams, that eerie blue glow illuminating the faces of wide-eyed technicians. Her assistant, Raj Patel, spun in his chair. It's confirmed, Dr. Vance. The signal matches Pathfinder's unique signature. But there's something else. Elara leaned over his shoulder, studying the flickering displays. What do you mean, something else, sir? Raj's fingers danced across the keyboard, bringing up a spectrographic analysis. The signal, it's not just telemetry data. There's an encoded message piggybacking on Pathfinder's transmission, and it's not ours. A hush fell over the control room as the implications sank in. Pathfinder, Earth's most advanced interstellar probe, had been designed to search for signs of extraterrestrial life. Now, half a century after its launch, it seemed to have succeeded beyond humanity's wildest dreams. Can we decode it? Elara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Raj shook his head. It's like nothing we've ever seen. The encryption is alien. Elara straightened, her mind racing. Get me the UN Security Council. Now. Within hours, the news had spread across the globe. Humanity's lost probe had returned, bearing proof that we were not alone in the universe. As governments scrambled to respond and conspiracy theories exploded across social media, Elara and her team worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets hidden within Pathfinder's mysterious message. Days turned to weeks as the world's best cryptographers and linguists attacked the problem. Progress was agonizingly slow, but bit by bit, the alien code began to yield its secrets. Dr. Vance. Raj called out one night, his voice cracking with excitement. We've cracked it. The first part of the message, its coordinates. Elara rushed to his station, her eyes widening as she saw the string of numbers and symbols on the screen. My God, she breathed. They're coming here. The revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific community and corridors of power alike. The coordinates pointed to a location just beyond the orbit of Neptune, and they came with a timestamp, 3 months from the day Pathfinder's signal had been received. As that deadline approached, Earth was gripped by a mixture of anticipation and fear. What would these aliens be like? Did they come in peace, or with more sinister intentions? The mystery deepened when a second part of the message was deciphered, containing what appeared to be schematics for an advanced propulsion system and energy shield. It's a gift, some argued. They're sharing their technology to help us join them among the stars. Or a Trojan horse, others warned. Why give us defenses unless we're going to need them? Governments worldwide began pouring resources into understanding and replicating the alien tech. If it was a trap, humanity would be ready. If it was a genuine offer of friendship, Earth would be prepared to meet its new neighbors on more equal footing. As the fateful day approached, Elara found herself at the heart of humanity's first contact preparations. She had been appointed as the lead scientific advisor to a hastily assembled international task force charged with coordinating Earth's response to the impending arrival. What do you think we'll find? General Marcus Harding, the gruff military leader of the task force, asked her as they stood in the newly constructed First Contact Command Center. Elara gazed at the massive viewscreen dominating the room, currently displaying a real-time feed from the most powerful space telescope ever built. It was trained on the coordinates provided in the alien message, waiting for the first sign of their arrival. I don't know, she admitted, but whatever it is, it's going to change everything. As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. On the viewscreen, a shimmering distortion appeared against the backdrop of stars. It grew larger, resolving into a shape that defied easy description, a vast crystalline structure that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around it. Energy readings are off the charts. A technician shouted. Whatever that thing is, it's like nothing we've ever seen. Ilara's breath caught in her throat as she watched the alien vessel approach. This was the moment humanity had dreamed of and feared for centuries. First contact was about to begin, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. As the strange ship drew closer, its size became apparent. It was enormous, easily dwarfing anything humanity had ever constructed in space. The crystalline surface seemed to ripple and shift as if the entire vessel was alive. "Are we broadcasting the welcome message?" General Harding demanded. A communications officer nodded. "On all frequencies, sir. No response yet." The tension in the room was palpable as everyone waited for some sign of acknowledgement from the alien craft. Minutes ticked by, feeling like hours. Suddenly, the view screen flickered and a new image appeared. It showed the interior of what could only be the alien ship, and standing, or perhaps floating, at its center was a being unlike anything Ilara had ever imagined. It was vaguely humanoid, but its body seemed to be composed of swirling energy contained within a translucent, ever-shifting form. When it spoke, the words appeared in their minds, rather than coming through the speakers. "People of Earth," the alien entity began, its mental voice resonating with an otherworldly harmony. "We have come in response to the call of your Pathfinder. We are the Luminary, and we bring you a warning and an opportunity. The galaxy is far more dangerous than you know, and your species stands at a crossroads. The choices you make in the coming days will determine not only your fate, but that of countless other worlds." Ilara exchanged a glance with General Harding, both of them struggling to process the magnitude of what they were hearing. Whatever they had expected from this encounter, this was beyond their wildest imaginings. The Luminary continued, its form shimmering with each transmitted thought. "We have shared with you a fraction of our technology as a gesture of good faith. But know this, there are those in the cosmos who would see your potential extinguished before it can truly shine. You must be prepared." As the alien's warning hung in the air, Ilara realized that humanity's greatest adventure, and perhaps its greatest trial, was only just beginning. The days following the Luminary's arrival were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the alien presence spread across the globe, humanity's reaction was a chaotic mix of wonder, fear, and frenzied preparation. Dr. Ilara Vance found herself at the center of it all, working tirelessly to bridge the gap between human and alien knowledge. The Luminary had taken up position in high Earth orbit, their crystalline ship a constant reminder of how small humanity truly was in the cosmic scale. "We need to understand their technology," Ilara argued during yet another tense meeting with world leaders. "The schematics they sent with Pathfinder are just the tip of the iceberg. If there really is a threat out there, we need every advantage we can get." General Harding nodded grimly. "Agreed, but we can't ignore the possibility that this is all an elaborate trap. The Luminary could be the very threat they're warning us about." President Adama of the newly formed United Earth Council leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Which is why we need to play this carefully. Dr. Vance, you'll continue to lead our scientific efforts. General Harding, I want our defenses ready for any scenario. We hope for the best, but prepare for the worst." As the meeting adjourned, Ilara's mind raced with the possibilities and dangers that lay ahead. She made her way to the specially constructed communication hub, where a team of linguists and xenobiologists worked around the clock to improve their understanding of the Luminary. "Any breakthroughs?" she asked her assistant, Raj, who looked like he hadn't slept in days. He rubbed his eyes, gesturing to a holographic display of swirling symbols. "We're making progress on their language, if you can call it that. It's more like pure thought given form. But the real challenge is understanding their biology. They're so far beyond us, it's like comparing a quantum computer to an abacus." Ilara was about to respond when an alarm blared through the facility. Red warning lights flashed as technicians scrambled to their stations. "What's happening?" she demanded, rushing to the main view screen. A young lieutenant looked up, her face pale. Multiple objects just appeared at the edge of our solar system. They're headed straight for Earth. The screen showed a swarm of sleek, predatory-looking ships emerging from what appeared to be tears in the fabric of space itself. Unlike the ethereal beauty of the luminary vessel, these craft radiated menace. "Get me the luminary," Elara shouted. "We need answers, now." Moments later, the familiar mind voice of that alien visitor filled the room. "We warned you that others would come," the luminary stated, its thoughts tinged with what might have been regret. "The Void Hunters have arrived sooner than we anticipated. They seek to extinguish young species before they can become threats or rivals." General Harding burst into the room, his face a mask of barely controlled fury. "You led them right to us," he accused. "No," the luminary countered. "Your Pathfinder did. Its return journey was detected, and the Void Hunters followed its trail. We came to warn you, but we underestimated their speed." Elara's mind raced, trying to process the implications. "How long do we have?" "At their current velocity, the Void Hunter fleet will reach Earth orbit in approximately 72 of your hours," the luminary replied. The room erupted into chaos as orders were shouted and emergency protocols initiated. Through it all, Elara stood rooted to the spot, her eyes fixed on the approaching Almeida. "What can we do?" she asked quietly, her voice barely audible above the din. The luminary's response was solemn. "We cannot fight your battles for you. Such interference is forbidden by the laws that govern our kind, but we can offer guidance and the tools to defend yourselves. The technology we provided, it is more powerful than you know. You must unlock its potential, and quickly." As the alien's words faded, Elara felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Humanity's fate now rested on their ability to master advanced alien technology in just 3 days. "Raj," she called out, a new determination in her voice. "Get every scientist, engineer, and programmer we can trust. We've got work to do." The next 72 hours were a blur of feverish activity. As governments worldwide mobilized their militaries and civil defense forces, Elara and her team worked non-stop to decipher and adapt the luminary's technology. The schematics for the propulsion system turned out to be the key. Hidden within its complex equations were the principles for manipulating gravitational fields on a massive scale. With the luminary's guidance, they began to understand how this could be weaponized. "It's not just about faster-than-light travel," Elara explained to a room full of bleary-eyed colleagues. "We can create localized gravity wells, disrupt their ship systems, maybe even form rudimentary shields." As the deadline approached, prototype gravity weapons were rushed into production. Every satellite, space station, and orbital platform was hastily retrofitted with the new technology. It was untested, unstable, and possibly dangerous to use, but it was the only chance they had. With less than an hour remaining, Elara stood in the command center, watching the Void Hunter fleet grow ever larger on the view screen. Earth's hastily assembled defense fleet hung in orbit, a pitiful force compared to the oncoming Almeida. "This is it," General Harding said quietly, coming to stand beside her. "Everything we've worked for comes down to the next few minutes." Elara nodded, her throat tight. "Let's hope it's enough." As the Void Hunters entered weapons range, humanity held its breath. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire human race, hung in the balance. The battle for survival was about to begin. The tension in Earth's Orbital Defense Command was palpable as the Void Hunter fleet approached. Elara's eyes darted between the main view screen and the readouts from the hastily deployed gravity weapons. Their own ships, a motley assortment of retrofitted satellites and experimental craft, looked woefully inadequate against the sleek, predatory forms of the alien Almeida. Suddenly, a transmission cut through all channels, its otherworldly screech resolving into heavily accented English. "Beings of Earth," a guttural voice growled, "your primitive world has been marked for cleansing. Surrender now, and we may spare a few of you for study. Resist and face total annihilation." General Harding's jaw clenched. "Like hell," he muttered, then raised his voice. "All units, prepare to engage on my mark." But before he could give the order, a bright flash erupted from the lead Void Hunter ship. A shimmering energy pulse raced toward Earth, growing larger by the second. "Brace for impact," someone shouted. Ilara closed her eyes, expecting the worst, but the anticipated devastation never came. She opened her eyes to see the pulse dissipating harmlessly against an invisible barrier high in the atmosphere. "The Luminary," she breathed, realization dawning. "They've given us a shield." Indeed, the crystalline ship of their alien allies pulsed with energy, projecting a gossamer-thin field around the entire planet. The Void Hunters, caught off guard by this unexpected defense, hesitated in their advance. Seizing the moment, General Harding barked out orders. "All units engage. Activate gravity weapons and fire at will." What followed was a battle unlike anything in human history. The prototype gravity weapons, guided by Ilara and her team, created localized distortions in space-time. Void Hunter ships found themselves pulled off course, their energy weapons bending wildly off target. Some unlucky vessels were caught in overlapping fields, the conflicting gravitational forces tearing them apart. But the aliens were quick to adapt. They launched swarms of smaller craft, darting through the gaps in Earth's defenses. Explosions blossomed in the upper atmosphere as they probed for weaknesses in the Luminary shield. "We can't keep this up forever," Raj shouted over the din of the command center. "The gravity weapons are unstable. If we push them too hard, they could collapse into miniature black holes." Ilara's mind raced. They needed a game-changer, something the Void Hunters wouldn't expect. Her eyes fell on the readouts from the Luminary ship, and an idea began to form. "The shield," she muttered, then louder, "the shield. It's not just defensive. Raj, help me reconfigure our weapons. We're going to turn that barrier into the biggest gravity wave generator in history." As Ilara and her team worked feverishly to implement their desperate plan, the battle raged on. Earth's conventional weapons proved nearly useless against the advanced Void Hunter technology, but the gravity weapons continued to wreak havoc on the alien fleet. Yet for every ship they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. "We're losing ground," General Harding reported grimly. "Our orbital defenses are down to 60% capacity. We need that plan of yours now, Doctor." Ilara's fingers flew across the control panel, making the final adjustments. "Ready on your command, General." Harding didn't hesitate. "Do it." With a keystroke, Ilara activated the reconfigured shield. The gossamer barrier pulsed once, twice, then began to ripple like the surface of a pond. The ripples grew larger, spreading outward at incredible speed. In space, the effect was devastating. The gravity waves slammed into the Void Hunter fleet like a cosmic tsunami. Ships tumbled end over end, their formations shattered. Some were crushed by the intense gravitational forces, while others collided with each other in the chaos. For a moment, it seemed like victory was within grasp, but then a massive shape emerged from the heart of the Void Hunter armada. It dwarfed even the largest of their ships, its surface bristling with weapons. "By all that's holy," General Harding whispered, "what is that thing?" The behemoth shrugged off the gravity wave like it was nothing more than a gentle breeze. It oriented itself toward Earth, weapon ports glowing with building energy. "Luminary." Ilara called out desperately, "We need your help." But there was no response from their alien allies. The crystalline ship hung motionless in orbit, its energy apparently spent from maintaining the shield. As the Void Hunter superweapon prepared to fire, a chilling transmission came through once more. "Foolish creatures," the alien voice snarled. "You have spirit, we'll grant you that. But spirit alone cannot save you. Witness the price of defiance." A lance of searing energy burst from the massive ship, punching through the weakened shield like it wasn't even there. It struck somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, and moments later, sensors went wild as a massive earthquake rocked the entire planet. "My God," someone gasped. "They're trying to tear the Earth apart from the inside." Ilara stood frozen, her mind reeling. They had thrown everything they had at the Void Hunters, and it wasn't enough. As reports of widespread destruction poured in from around the globe, she realized that humanity was facing its darkest hour. But in that moment of despair, a spark of defiance ignited within her. Humanity had come too far, survived too much, to give up now. They had mastered the atom, walked on the moon, and now wielded the power to bend space itself. There had to be a way to turn this around. "General," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "I have an idea. It's dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it might be our only chance." Harding met her gaze, understanding passing between them. "At this point, Doctor, I'm open to anything. What do you need?" Ilara took a deep breath. "A ship, the fastest one we've got, and volunteers for a mission into the heart of the Void Hunter fleet." As alarms blared and the superweapon prepared for another devastating strike, Ilara began to outline her desperate plan. It would require everything humanity had learned about the alien technology and a level of courage bordering on madness. But as she looked around at the determined faces of her colleagues, Ilara knew one thing for certain: humanity would not go quietly into the night. The real fight was just beginning. As the Void Hunter superweapon prepared for another devastating strike, Ilara's plan was put into motion with desperate speed. The fastest ship in Earth's nascent space fleet, a prototype craft called the Thunderbolt, was quickly prepped for launch. "This is insanity," General Harding muttered as he watched Ilara and a small team of volunteers board the vessel. "You realize the chances of this working are astronomically low." Ilara managed a grim smile. "So were the odds of us developing gravity weapons in 3 days, but here we are. Sometimes, General, insanity is all we've got." The plan was audacious in its simplicity and terrifying in its risks. Using the Thunderbolt's experimental drive, enhanced by their understanding of luminary technology, they would attempt to penetrate the heart of the Void Hunter fleet. Their target, the massive superweapon threatening to tear Earth apart. "Remember," Ilara briefed her team as they strapped in, "our goal is to plant the gravity pulse device directly on their main power core. If we're right about the interaction between our tech and theirs, it should create a cascading failure that will take out most of their fleet." Rage, who had insisted on joining the mission, looked pale but determined. "And if we're wrong?" Ilara met his eyes. "Then we give Earth one hell of a light show as we go out." As the Thunderbolt prepared for launch, the situation on Earth grew increasingly dire. The Void Hunter's initial strike had caused tsunamis and earthquakes that were still wreaking havoc across the globe. Military forces worldwide scrambled to defend against waves of smaller attack craft that had broken through the weakened shield. "Thunderbolt, you are clear for launch," the control tower announced. "Godspeed, and give 'em hell." With a roar of engines far too powerful for its size, the Thunderbolt shot into the sky. As they climbed through the atmosphere, the true scale of the battle became apparent. Debris from destroyed ships, both human and alien, littered near-Earth orbit. Activating cloaking field, Raj announced as they cleared the last traces of atmosphere. The Thunderbolt shimmered and seemed to fade from view, a combination of luminary stealth tech and good old-fashioned human ingenuity. They weaved through the chaos of the battle, the ship's enhanced sensors allowing them to navigate the debris field and ongoing firefights. As they approached the heart of the Void Hunter fleet, the massive form of the superweapon loomed before them. "My God," breathed Sienna, their pilot. "That thing's bigger than some moons." Ilara leaned forward, studying the readings. "Look there," she pointed. "That pulsing energy signature. That has to be the main reactor." As they maneuvered closer, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. "We've been detected," Raj shouted. "Cloaking field is failing." Evasive maneuvers, Ilara ordered. Sienna's hands flew across the controls, sending the Thunderbolt into a series of wild spins and dives that would have turned their stomachs if not for the inertial dampeners. Energy beams from Void Hunter interceptors crisscrossed space around them. One grazed the Thunderbolt's hull, sending shudders through the ship. "We're not going to make it," Sienna grunted, wrestling with the controls. "There's too many of them." Just as it seemed their mission would end in failure, a familiar mental voice resonated through their minds. "We cannot directly intervene," the Luminary communicated, "but we can offer this one last aid." Suddenly, the space around the Thunderbolt warped and twisted. In the blink of an eye, they found themselves inside the superweapon, floating in a cavernous chamber that had to be the main reactor room. "The Luminary," Ilara gasped. "They teleported us inside." There was no time for celebration, though. Alarms were blaring throughout the alien vessel, and the sound of heavy footsteps indicated that Void Hunter soldiers were on their way. "Plant the device," Ilara shouted. "Hurry." Rage and Sienna scrambled to attach the gravity pulse device to what appeared to be the central power core, a massive crystalline structure pulsing with otherworldly energy. Just as they finished, the chamber's doors burst open, and alien warriors poured in. "Back to the ship," Ilara ordered, laying down covering fire with a hastily modified gravity pistol. The weapon sent Void Hunters flying in all directions, their own mass turned against them. As the team piled back into the Thunderbolt, Ilara hit the detonator. The gravity pulse device hummed to life, its energy interacting with the alien power core in ways they could only theorize about. "Get us out of here now," Ilara yelled. Sienna gunned the engines, and the Thunderbolt shot out of the superweapon like a bullet from a gun. Behind them, the massive ship began to convulse, arcs of energy racing across its surface. "It's working," Raj exclaimed, watching the sensor readings. "The reaction is spreading to other ships in the fleet." As they raced back towards Earth, the superweapon exploded in a blinding flash of light. The shockwave caught them, sending the Thunderbolt tumbling end over end. "Brace for impact," Sienna shouted as they hurtled towards Earth's atmosphere, their controls only partially responding. As they began to burn up on re-entry, Ilara closed her eyes, hoping against hope that their sacrifice would be enough to turn the tide. To her surprise, they didn't burn up. A familiar shimmering field enveloped the Thunderbolt, guiding it safely down to a landing in the middle of what appeared to be Times Square in New York. As they stumbled out of the ship, dazed but alive, they were met with a sight that took their breath away. The sky was filled with falling debris from the Void Hunter fleet, burning up in the atmosphere like a million shooting stars. And there, descending from the heavens, was the crystalline ship of the Luminary. "You have done it," the alien voice resonated in their minds. "Against all odds, humanity has proven its worth. The Void Hunters are defeated, their threat to young species ended, at least for now." As crowds began to gather, cheering and staring in awe at both the Thunderbolt and the Luminary ship, Ilara felt a weight lift from her shoulders. They had done it. Earth was safe. But as she looked up at the stars, now visible as night fell, she knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps onto a much larger stage, and the greatest adventures and challenges still lay ahead. In the months following humanity's desperate victory over the Void Hunters, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in its history. The debris from the alien fleet became a valuable resource, providing insights into advanced technologies that accelerated human progress by decades, if not centuries. Dr. Ilara Vance found herself at the center of this technological revolution. Her expertise in adapting alien tech had made her one of the most important scientists on the planet. But with that importance came an enormous responsibility. "We need to be careful," she argued during a meeting of the newly formed Global Science Council. "We're playing with forces we barely understand. One misstep could have catastrophic consequences." Her caution was met with resistance from some quarters. Admiral Chen, who had replaced the retired General Harding, leaned forward with a frown. Doctor, we don't have the luxury of caution. The luminary made it clear. There are more threats out there. We need to be ready. Ilara sighed, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. I understand the urgency, Admiral, but rushing headlong into this could be just as dangerous as doing nothing. As the debate raged on, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. The luminary had become increasingly cryptic in their communications, hinting at greater challenges to come. Later that evening, as she pored over data in her lab, Raj burst in, his eyes wide with excitement. Ilara, you need to see this. He pulled up a holographic display showing a series of energy readings from the edge of the solar system. We've been detecting these pulses for weeks, thinking they were just background radiation. But I ran them through the new quantum decoder and look. The seemingly random pulses resolved into a clear pattern, a message. Ilara's breath caught as she recognized the signature. It's from Pathfinder, she whispered. Their long-lost probe, which had inadvertently started this whole adventure, was still out there, and it was sending a warning. As they deciphered the message, the blood drained from Ilara's face. We need to call an emergency meeting. Now, hours later, world leaders and top scientists gathered in a secure bunker deep beneath Geneva. Ilara stood before them, her face grim. Pathfinder has detected a massive energy signature moving through the galaxy, she began. Based on its trajectory and speed, we believe it's a fleet. One that makes the Void Hunters look like a scouting party. The room erupted into panicked murmurs. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the noise. How long do we have? Ilara took a deep breath. 6 months, maybe less. The silence that followed was deafening. President Adama of the United Earth Council finally broke it. What are our options, Doctor? Ilara activated a holographic display showing a series of complex schematics. We've been reverse engineering the Void Hunter tech, combined with what we've learned from the luminary. We believe we can construct a defensive network around Earth. But what? Chen pressed. But it won't be enough, Ilara finished. Not against a force this size. We need something more. She manipulated the display, zooming out to show the entire solar system. We need to think bigger. I propose we turn the entire solar system into one giant defensive matrix. The audacity of the plan stunned the assembly. Converting planets, moons, and asteroids into a vast network of defensive platforms and energy generators seemed like something out of science fiction. Can it be done? President Adama asked. Ilara nodded slowly. With the luminary's help, and if we throw every resource we have into it, yes, but it will require a level of global cooperation unlike anything in human history. As the implications sank in, a new sense of purpose filled the room. Humanity had fought off one alien threat, but now they faced an even greater challenge. The next 6 months would determine not just the fate of Earth, but of human civilization itself. There's one more thing, Ilara added, her voice quiet but firm. We can't just play defense. We need to take the fight to them. She brought up a new schematic, a massive ship, larger than anything humans had ever constructed. This is the Vanguard. It will be our flagship, capable of carrying a small fleet of its own. While we fortify the solar system, a team will take the Vanguard and seek out allies, gather intelligence, and if necessary, strike at the heart of this new threat. Admiral Chen studied the design, a glint of appreciation in his eyes. Who will lead this mission? Ilara straightened her shoulders. I will. The room fell silent once more as the weight of her words sank in. Then, slowly, President Adama nodded. Very well, Dr. Vance. You've led us this far. We trust you to see us through what's to come. As the meeting adjourned and plans were set in motion, Ilara felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. The challenges ahead were immense, but for the first time in history, humanity was truly united in a common cause. She gazed out a window at the night sky, the stars now holding both promise and peril. Whatever was coming, whatever trials lay ahead, She knew one thing for certain: humanity would face it together, and they would not go quietly into the night. The next 6 months would be a race against time, a desperate bid to prepare for a threat they could scarcely imagine. But as Elara watched the first teams of scientists and engineers mobilize, she felt a surge of pride. Humanity had survived the crucible of the Void Hunter invasion. Now they would show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The Vanguard would be their sword, the solar defense matrix their shield, and beyond that, they had something no alien force could match: the indomitable human spirit. As dawn broke over Geneva, Elara allowed herself a small smile. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin. The 6 months leading up to the expected arrival of the alien armada passed in a blur of feverish activity. Earth had become a hive of unprecedented global cooperation and technological advancement. The solar system defense matrix, once thought impossible, was taking shape at an astounding rate. Elara stood on the bridge of the newly completed Vanguard, marveling at how far they'd come in such a short time. The massive ship hummed with power, bristling with weapons and defenses that merged human ingenuity with alien technology. Final systems check complete. Doctor, Raj reported from his station. We're ready for launch. Elara nodded, taking a deep breath. Signal Earth Command. It's time. As the Vanguard prepared to depart, carrying Earth's hopes with it, the rest of humanity braced for the coming storm. The solar defense matrix was operational, but untested against a threat of this magnitude. The journey through uncharted space was tense. The Vanguard's advanced sensors probed the void, seeking signs of both the approaching threat and potential allies. They encountered wonders and terrors beyond imagination: vast nebulae teeming with exotic life, the ruins of ancient civilizations, and cosmic phenomena that defied explanation. But time was running out. As they approached the projected path of the alien armada, long-range sensors finally picked up the first signs of the incoming fleet. "My God," Sienna whispered from her pilot's seat, "it's even bigger than we thought." The holographic display showed a vast swarm of ships, so numerous they blotted out the stars behind them. At their center was a construct of impossible size, a ship that dwarfed even the Void Hunter's superweapon. "Send the signal to Earth," Elara ordered, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her gut. "They're coming." As the Vanguard raced back to the solar system, they received transmissions from a handful of allies they'd managed to gather on their journey. Small fleets of exotic ships converged on Earth, ready to stand with humanity against the common threat. They arrived just in time to see the massive alien fleet emerge from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. The solar defense matrix hummed to life, a web of energy connecting planets, moons, and asteroids into a single mighty defensive network. "This is Dr. Elara Vance of Earth," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We know why you're here. We faced your kind before, but this is our home, and we will defend it. Turn back now, or face the consequences." The response came in the form of a barrage of energy weapons that lit up space like 1,000 suns. The battle for Earth had begun. What followed was a conflict unlike anything in human history. The solar defense matrix proved its worth, absorbing and redirecting the aliens' energy attacks. Pluto's orbit became a kill box, its converted moons unleashing gravitational weapons that tore enemy ships apart. Jupiter's massive gravity well became a trap, drawing in and crushing waves of alien fighters. But the invaders' numbers seemed endless. For every ship destroyed, 10 more took its place. Slowly but surely, they pushed deeper into the solar system. Aboard the Vanguard, Elara and her crew fought with everything they had. The ship's advanced weapons and defenses, combined with the skills of its human crew, made it a terror on the battlefield. But even they couldn't be everywhere at once. As the alien fleet neared Mars, Elara realized they needed something more. A game-changer. "Raj," she called out, an idea forming. "The Luminary shield technology. Could we adapt it to create a containment field?" His eyes widened as he caught on. "You mean?" Ilara nodded. One big enough to envelope their entire fleet. The next hours were a desperate race. As Earth's defenses strained to hold back the tide, the Vanguard and its allied ships worked to position themselves around the alien armada. "It's now or never," Ilara announced, her finger hovering over the activation switch. "All ships, initiate containment protocol on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." A shimmering field of energy burst from the Vanguard and its allies, expanding rapidly to engulf the enemy fleet. The aliens found themselves trapped in a massive bubble of altered space-time. "Now, Earth," Ilara shouted, "hit them with everything we've got." The solar defense matrix responded, every weapon in the system converging on the contained fleet. The barrier turned the aliens' own energy weapons against them, reflecting the blasts back into their ranks. Caught in the crossfire of their own attacks and Earth's onslaught, the invaders' numbers finally began to dwindle. Hours passed, the battle raging with unimaginable intensity, and then suddenly it was over. The last alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash, leaving behind nothing but debris and stunned silence. As the realization of victory swept through the human fleet, cheers erupted across every channel. Aboard the Vanguard, Ilara slumped in her chair, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," Raj said softly, disbelief and joy mingling in his voice. "We actually did it." Ilara nodded, a tired smile on her face. "We did, but this is just the beginning." In the days that followed, as the solar system began the long process of recovery, Ilara found herself addressing the United Earth Council once more. But this time, it wasn't just human faces looking back at her. Representatives from their new alien allies sat among Earth's leaders, a testament to how far they'd come. "We've proven ourselves on a galactic stage," Ilara began. "We've shown that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. But with that recognition comes great responsibility. We have the chance now to help shape the future of our galaxy, to be not conquerors, but peacekeepers, not isolationists, but explorers." She gestured to the alien representatives. "We've made new friends among the stars. Let's work together to build a better future for all sentient life." As applause filled the chamber, Ilara's gaze drifted to the window, where Earth hung like a blue jewel against the backdrop of space. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger than ever. The road ahead would not be easy, but she knew that whatever challenges awaited them in the vast expanse of the cosmos, humanity would face them head-on. The age of Earth was over. The age of humanity among the stars had just begun.